Remember your childhood home. Now imagine walking into the garage. It is a quiet space where time seems to stand still. You look at the old wooden workbench, you see rows of glass jars. They are carefully filled with mismatched screws. There are slightly bent nails. There are brass hinges saved from doors replaced 20 years ago. You look in the far corner. A neatly tied stack of old newspapers sits in the damp air. The front pages headline a major news event from the late 90s. Heavy cardboard boxes of old tax returns sit nearby. Tangled, dusty cords belong to kitchen appliances that do not exist anymore. You look at this space. You view it with modern, practical eyes. To you, it feels like an overwhelming pile of junk. It looks like a stubborn refusal to let go of the past. It feels frustrating. You might feel a sudden, strong urge. You want to bring in heavy trash bags. You want to throw it all away in one afternoon. But what if this behavior is not what it looks like? What if that saved stack of washed plastic containers tells a different story? It might not be a sign of a messy mind. Instead, it might be a quiet act of love. It could be an almost invisible, deeply felt tribute. To truly understand this, we have to look backward. We must explore why the baby boomer generation keeps what the rest of us readily throw away. Many baby boomers grew up with parents who lived through the extreme poverty of the Great Depression. During that grim era, running out of food or money wasn't just a vague worry, it was a harsh, everyday reality. Science reveals something incredible about this. Living through severe economic hardship leaves a physical mark on a person's DNA. The deep stress of poverty changes how our survival genes work, and those genetic changes can persist across multiple generations. This helps explain why some people seem to inherit an intense survival instinct and a strong need to save everything. Boomers grew up hearing a very specific message. They heard, "You might need that one day." This was never just helpful advice for the house. It was a survival skill. It was deeply wired into their brains. This inherited scarcity mindset trains people to place a high value on basic resources. It trains them to view throwing things away as a terrible waste. Your father might save a bent nail. He might keep a small piece of wood. When he does this, he is honoring a worldview where nothing in life was guaranteed. For many boomers, keeping items isn't about creating a mess. Instead, it is about honoring parents who survived hard times. Throwing away something that could theoretically be used feels wrong. It feels like betraying that inherited strength. Next, we have to think about the weight of time. We must look at how ownership affects the mind. Psychologists have a term for this. It is called the endowment effect. People consistently place a higher value on items they own compared to items they do not own. The longer a person owns an object, the more valuable it feels to them. Look at that old washed jam jar. Consider that worn-out extension cord. Its emotional weight is now much higher than its actual price. It is much harder to throw away simply because it has been theirs for so long. Beneath this effect is an even deeper truth. It shows how we build our sense of self. Possessions become an actual part of who we are. They hold fragile memories and personal identity. They provide comfort during times of deep uncertainty. These everyday items serve as identity markers. They help older people handle fast, confusing social changes. Our modern world is changing with terrifying speed. New technology makes old skills useless. Familiar neighborhoods change overnight. In this chaotic world, these old items serve as physical anchors. They are tangible signs. They remind the keeper of exactly who they are. They remind them of exactly where they belong. They prove what they have lived through. Possessions often act as extensions of the self, literally becoming part of our physical body and our sense of self. It is very important to draw a line here. We must separate a true medical problem from historical preservation. True hoarding disorder involves deep fear and overwhelming chaos. But what we often see in our parents' homes is entirely different. It is a practice called sentimental stewardship. Sentimental stewardship seeks to care for objects as important pieces of history. The main goal is not to build walls of trash to hide behind. Instead, the person acts as a dedicated museum curator. They are trying to protect a family's whole lived experience. Still, we cannot ignore the risks. Deep emotional attachment to objects is strongly linked to hoarding symptoms. This intense attachment includes treating objects like people, tying identity to things, and saving items for the memories they hold. These elements essentially form the core reasons why people save things. The line between preserving a beautiful family history and drowning in it is remarkably thin. Now, human behavior is wonderfully complex. Not every older person holds onto objects so tightly. Not every crowded basement is a museum of inherited trauma. Sometimes, a messy desk is simply a messy desk. What helps one person feel wonderfully secure might deeply burden another person. What looks like a generation-wide trait can often just be an individual quirk. However, many individuals do feel this heavy psychological weight. For them, the pressure to meet modern standards is painful. Modern society demands empty spaces. It brings up a popular new idea called Swedish death cleaning. This movement strongly encourages cleaning out homes before death. The main goal is to reduce mental stress and only pass down meaningful items. Younger generations might view this favorably. They might see it as a necessary kindness. It spares grieving families the physical pain of clearing a deceased spouse's workshop. But for many boomers, this forced minimalism feels deeply threatening. They may view throwing away objects as erasing their own history. This generational tension inevitably leads to a quiet standstill. It causes an exhausting internal block known as decision paralysis. Choosing what to keep or throw away can instantly trigger this decision paralysis. Complex choices directly lead to this total freeze. The deep fear of making mistakes also causes people to delay making decisions, such as whether to keep or discard items. Choosing what to keep feels impossible. It feels like choosing which precious memories to save and which to destroy forever. Because of this, people often delay decisions and do absolutely nothing. This frustrating indecision is often made worse by perfectionism. The deep fear of being judged also plays a massive role, contributing heavily to self-doubt and clutter. Older adults often feel harshly judged by younger family members who live with less. They also experience profound physical and emotional exhaustion. They desperately want to clean, but they are simply too tired. How do we cross this painful generational divide? How do we help our loved ones let go without hurting them? We must first change what it actually means to waste. We might need to gently suggest a new way of thinking. We can politely suggest that storing unused items is also a form of waste. Consider a good wrench. It sits completely untouched in a dark drawer for 30 long years. It is clearly not doing its job. It is in its own way being entirely wasted. We can also offer gentle solutions. We can enthusiastically use the photo strategy. Taking pictures of sentimental items has a highly proven effect. It actually increases donations by 15 to 35%. This clearly shows how saving memories digitally helps people let go of physical objects. Taking photos of sentimental items helps people donate or discard them by preserving the memory while finally releasing the object. It neatly separates the precious memory from the heavy object. This simple process allows the person to keep the story without keeping the physical bulk. Now let's go back to the start. You're standing in that crowded garage. You might feel the familiar urge to sigh. Pause for a quiet moment instead. Look closely at the carefully saved screws. Look at the towering stack of yellowed newspapers. Observe the worn tools. You are not just looking at mere clutter, you are looking at a deeply ingrained human survival skill. You are looking at the physical result of a highly resilient nervous system. This specific nervous system learned to fiercely protect itself against having nothing. It learned this lesson long before you were even born. We must accurately name this heavy burden. When we finally do this, we stop judging the sprawling mess. We start truly seeing the vulnerable person. We see someone who is simply trying to survive. They are using the only method their complex history ever taught them. They are just trying to hold on to their rightful place in a highly unpredictable world.